and welcome to Digital Health News, India's first dedicated platform for all things digital health. As healthcare systems worldwide embark on their digital journey, they encounter various challenges from interoperability issues to data security concerns and cultural shifts. Healthcare professionals agree that digital transformation in healthcare is a complex terrain to navigate. In today's episode, we will talk about these multifaceted challenges and explore some of the innovative strategies to navigate these obstacles effectively. Joining us today to discuss this is Abhimanyoo Khatri, North India Operations Head of Omega Hospitals, Hyderabad. Graduated from ISADE Business School in Barcelona, one of the top B schools in the world, he brings in a global perspective to his work. His expertise span across healthcare strategies, operations management, and digital transformation. Apart from being a corporate leader, he also likes to brush shoulders with young healthcare students and guide them on healthcare management. So join me in welcoming him to our platform.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you for having me on the platform, and thank you for those kind words.
Thank you, Abhimanyoo. Thank you for joining us. My first question to you is, as we all know, Omega started as a cancer hospital and then ventured into multi-specialty. So when expanding into multi-specialty, was there any particular challenge regarding technological and digital transformation that you faced in terms of integrating your operational workflows and other areas?
So, Aarti, I think the main difference first we need to identify is that oncology and multi-speciality are two entirely different games, right? Oncology is from 1 hour to the other. Usually, most of our centers work certain operational hours, and then you only have to take care of the surgical patients. Most of your chemotherapies, as we say, are usually 8 hourly, 9 hourly maximum. So most of them are taken care of during daycare times. When we talk about technology stack, one of the things that we had to keep in mind was, so we were primarily working only on HIMSS, which was our standard software that helps you manage your procurement, pharmacy, billing, basic stuff. But now that we've ensured that we expanded so much, and then we wanted to ensure that there's centralization of data, we can analyze what is happening at different branches. So now we're looking at involving EMR. Now we're rolling out EMR at the property, all different properties that we have, to ensure that the centralization of data, easy access of data, and we have more and more data touch points. Because the more data touch points you have, the more analytical points you have. And then you can sit down and start analyzing that, okay, these are the 50, 100 data touch points I have. How do I utilize them to improve my operations, to improve my profitability, to improve my patient experience? Because when we talk about Omega, mainly when we talk about oncology and Omega, all our patients have a very long touch base, right? All the patients that we have a very long interaction cycle with us. So anyone who's going through a treatment will at least stay with us for a year and a half, if time permits, and the patient doesn't die during the treatment, right? So keeping that in mind, we have to always ensure that the service is not just good, but it is also consistent. Because I might be good today, but 3 months later, if I'm not great, my patient will be like, oh, your service is depreciating, right? So you have to ensure that you're improving the service, and it has to be constant improvement. You cannot be at the same bar as well. You have to keep raising the bar every single time a patient comes in, from 15 to 21 days apart, especially when talking about chemotherapy. Someone did a surgery, came back to us after a month, started doing chemotherapy, did chemotherapy with us from between, say, 6 to 8 months. Did that, finished it, moved forward to radiation. Once you've done radiations, then that's year and a half, right? Then you're doing PET scans and PET CTs with us to ensure that you're cancer free, or maybe whatever extra treatment that you have to receive. So the whole relationship between a patient and a doctor is at least 5 years. So keeping that in mind, we have to always have more and more data touch points, so that we can involve more and more patient improvement points, and ensuring that the whole journey becomes as smooth as possible. And every time I collect a feedback from the same patient, it has to be better, not for worse. So that is also something that doing that. We look at all our patients that have given us a feedback 3 months ago, and what is their feedback today, right? If the feedback is at par, that is still decent. But if it's gone down, then it is something that we have to really look into it. And our patients make sure, if a point that they let us know that, okay, the services have gone down, if in case they have, every small thing that is there comes to notice directly to Dr. Mamchi as well as to us as well as senior management.
Right. Abhimanyu, you mentioned that for a patient and a hospital, the relationship lasts for at least 5 years before the treatment, during the treatment, and after the treatment as well. So, patient care and optimizing patient care becomes very important. In this specific arena, how has Omega Hospital embraced digital transformation?
I mean, as I said, collecting more and more data points. We're still on the initial stage of it, wherein we're collecting more data points physically as well as digitally. So when I say physical forms that are that are everywhere, you can find it at all hospitals. Digitally, what we're doing is we're trying to ensure that looking at turnaround times of the reports that are being generated, looking at what kind of patient feedback that we're getting through digital forms, maybe through QR codes, right? And ensuring that whatever patient touch points there are, say maybe there is a queue management system that helps me understand what is the ideal waiting time at every single touch point, right? Through EMR, I can understand what is my patient's, discharge times looking like, right? If a patient is coming from daycare chemotherapy, when should my ideal discharge start, right? If I know that XYZ patient is going to be admitted at 8 a.m., right? His chemo is about for 6 hours. His chemo is for 6 hours. If it's going to finish at 2 p.m., what time should I start my procedure for discharge? That the discharge by maximum ends at 2:30. So when the doctor tells you, because obviously once your chemotherapy finishes, your doctor will come visit you, say, okay, everything's fine, you're good to go, right? Once the doctor says good to go, the patient should be out in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Right? That's the idea. Because no one wants to stay in a hospital once the doctor has said you're good to go. That is when the real urgency starts, right? And okay, doctor has said, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here, right? And especially for like insurance patients and corporate patients, how do you ensure that these times are really taken care of so their journey could be as smooth as possible?
Uh, Now, when we talk about, you also mentioned when the challenges that you faced in digital transformation when you went from a cancer hospital to a multi-specialty, the challenges are completely different. But when it comes to technology aiding you in maintaining control and ensuring highest level of care delivery across your organization, how do you see that happening?
I mean, so through technology, it is possible, but it's a long road ahead. We're not, as I said before as well, that we're only on the initial part of the journey where we're finalizing the software, we're finishing off, whether the current solution that we're using for us is good or not, and how can it help us diversify and take more control in our hands, as you said, right? And ensuring that the patient care can be constant and keeps on improving. So that is something that is we're still on the initial side of things, right? We haven't really collected a lot of data because multi-speciality is only a year old for us. So a year is not a long time, as well as we were still learning a lot in terms of multi-speciality at that time. So I think now we're finally settled down. Okay, we understand the game of multi-speciality as well and what goes in it. And now venturing into now the deeper depths of understanding pain points, understanding operational pain points, and finally bringing it all together to ensure that our patients get the best care, our operations teams can operate the best way, housekeeping, security, what all needs to improve, and all of those have been turned into different touch points. But yeah, technology has helped us in collecting and understanding those touch points, and these are not just gut feeling based decisions based on gut feeling. We are now able to take definite decisions which are backed by data, right? Because now I know that, okay, my discharge sometime has been bad for insurance patients. Why? This is the reason. These are the top 5 reasons that we've identified. Okay. So this is not like, where's the one, where's the trend? No, it's not like that, right? You have to ensure that you are backing every single even the smallest decision. Doesn't matter what kind of revenue impact it has, what kind of cost impact it has, but it has to be something that is backed by data so that at the end of the day, you can go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, I had these 5 points in front of me. Where did I go wrong? Let me try and rejuggle them and let's see which variable that I took in was wrong, or am I missing one of the other variables. So you can plug and play and see what really works and then create a full-fledged formula. So right now we're in that experimental stage with technology as well. We're in trying different solution. Okay, this works for us. This queue management is good. This ERP is good. This HIMS is good. This parking management system is good, right? Because everything that is there within the whole hospital defines some or the other kind of experience. Like something as simple as, uh, your POS machines, right? We
Yes.
were using Pine Lab machines in Jabalpur, and they kept on giving us problems with networks, with this and that. So that starts irritating the customers. So then we have to switch back to like good old ICICI UPI, which shouts, "Oh,
Yes.
100 receipt, 50 rupees receipt." It works. It works brilliantly. It works 100% of the time. So instead of, so it's not necessary that everything that is technologically advanced will work for you. Some things will work
Hmm.
for you at certain centers. Some things will not work for you at certain centers, and then you keep like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So
Hmm.
yeah.
But this technology enrollment and then figuring out, experimenting with it, does it also somehow impact your patient experience, the experiences of patient in the
It does.
hospital?
100%, it does, right? Because we thought the newer machines would be better for us, but the patients got angry at us, right? If it's 100, 200, 500 amount, that's okay. But there were cases where 50,000 rupees UPI transactions were done, but they were not credited. So when you talk about 50,000 rupees, irrespective of who it is, that patient's going to take a bite at you, right? And
Yes.
I mean, it was interesting to try and help and understand those patients as well, and keep them calm and ensuring that everything is done. Don't worry. And then you have to put in your faith into that patient. Although it's a cash patient, but you put in a faith that okay, the patient will come back and pay me back, and it happens because I mean, you're talking about
Hmm.
smaller cities, right? It's a totally
Hmm.
different psychology there. When we talk about credit as compared to say when you're talking about a city like Hyderabad, Mumbai, or Delhi.
Right. But then you spoke about how it impacts the patients. We also talk about when there is new technology introduced in a hospital, or there are new, digital transformation practices in the hospital. There is some sort of resistance from the doctors and clinicians side as well. Did you face any of those?
Doctors and clinicians, I would say if you were talking about this 5 years back, yes, 100%. There would have been a ton of roadblocks just in terms of, clinicians saying, no, we'll not do it. This is all crap. Oh, we don't care. But now doctors have also understood the importance of it, especially when most of the doctors are working at multiple facilities or have worked at multiple facilities, right? These are not new
Hmm.
doctors. These are experts in their fields. So they've worked at multiple facilities. They've understood the importance of involving technology in treatment, even to a smaller bit of writing a digital prescription, right? Because now you don't
Hmm.
have to go to the patient and be like, hey, can I have a prescription that I showed and that I had written first 1 year back? Because then the
Right.
patient's spending 5 minutes going paper by paper to understand where it is. And most probably the patient's
Yes.
lost it, right? Or maybe the
Correct.
patient left it at the prescription pharmacy
Hmm.
shop or something of those sort happened. With EMR, all you have to do is like look it up and all the patient history is there. So you don't, as a doctor, you don't have to worry about it. So it gives you a lot
Hmm.
of flexibility in terms of what you work with and how are you working. So it gives you that kind of strength of data that you want. Again, technology will only help you collecting more and more data. How you utilize that data is going to be finally how you utilize the data is what defines whether it's a success or a failure. Because
Hmm.
as I said before, the more data you have, the more you can analyze and make decisions accordingly. If my doctors are not looking at patients' history, yes, for them EMR is absolutely waste, right? Because they are not going to check anything. But if my doctors are serious about their patients and want to check the patient's history, even if it's like say sugar levels or BP levels or cholesterol levels, all of that is already mentioned in EMR. If it's there, the doctor doesn't have to go to the patient. They can directly look at the trends that they have followed and all those things, and that eventually affects your patient care and the kind of care you can and treatment that you can provide to the patient, because now you have more data
Hmm.
available. Because when you talk about tier 2 tier 3 towns, at least in tier 1 metropolitan cities, people are much more aware. But in tier 2 tier 3, when you start looking at it, it's a completely different scenario. People don't take their health seriously. When you tell them, oh,
Hmm.
you have cancer, they already think they're dead. They already think they're dead. Half of them have already thought, oh, I am dead. There's nothing that can save me in the world. Cancer is the biggest motivation killer, I would say. As a cancer patient myself, I've gone through the whole shenanigan of, surgeries, chemo, radiation, PET CTs, everything. I feel, I mean, in any treatment for that matter, which is a life threatening disease, you have to have a very strong mindset. Uh, that strong mindset is something that is either there very strongly in tier 2, tier 3 people, or it is absolutely missing. There is no in the middle. So it's either like, "Arey, to koi kuch kar hi nahi sakta, nothing can do anything to me. What is cancer?" I've seen those kind of people as well. I was one of those guys as well. Because I
Oh,
called my friend, I was like, "Hey, listen, this says this is this. What's my survival chances?" He's like, 99%, especially at the stage you are. I'm like, okay, then I'm safe. Nothing. It's like a fever. So, I mean, the way you treat it will treat you back. So, yeah,
right. But do hospitals play any role in shifting these mindsets or changing this mindset?
absolutely. Hospitals have to play an important role because you are the ultimate touch point. When a patient comes in or a doctor comes in and sits in a hospital or visits as a patient, if you come and visit a hospital, you put a lot of belief and hope in the hospital's hands, especially when we talk about oncology, right? As I said, when people think about cancer, they think that they're half dead. 50% of them are already dead, right? In their head, they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? I have no idea what's going to go on. So that you have to understand that patient psyche, the kind of trust that they're coming to you with. You're the last resort. So keeping that in mind, you have to always use more and more advanced technology, right? When we talk about technology in healthcare, it's not just about your tech stack, right? Softwares that you're using, computers that you're using. No, it's also about your medical technological hardware, right?
Mm.
Something which we do quite often as Omega, as a group, that we invest in newer and newer technologies to ensure that we can provide better and better care for our patients.
Right. Any notable success stories or case studies where the technology driven initiatives at Omega hospitals have significantly impacted patient care or
Yeah,
operational efficiency?
absolutely. I mean, we have a machine called Ethos, which is an AI driven and AI helped uh, radiation machine, which
Mm.
essentially what it does is that the planning that say a team of doctors and physicists would do in 48 hours, it'll complete in 10 minutes. So
Oh,
maybe because
wonderful.
there are certain parts in body that move a little bit left and right. So earlier what would happen is that, say, if something is moving here up and down, what you would essentially do is you would sit and basically because it's moving up and down, so you take the maximum point and the minimum point and give the whole area, right? But
Mm.
now what happens is that instead of choosing maximum point every day, that machine will calculate the exact position and do the exact calculations that would take 48 hours for any other doctor to do it within 10 minutes. And then, according to the new position, the precision of the treatment is there. So instead of going for this big of a part, you're not only going for this much. So that improves a great deal of post treatment issues that a lot of cancer patients face.
Mm.
Because if you're giving radiation the whole side, like when I got radiations for only preventive measures, but still I had problem with my taste, I had problem with my saliva. It took me a few months before I could actually get back to it. But when you talk about now with treatments like this, which are very specific, then you can narrow down the affected area, especially when you're talking about neck cancers or maybe heart cancers, liver cancer, any kind of cancer for that matter, where the body parts can move and another body part can get that extra radiation leak. I think it helps quite a bit, as well as helps in post treatment recovery for patients as well.
You already spoke about artificial intelligence. My next question was regarding artificial intelligence. In fact, it has become such a buzzword of 2024, and everybody is talking about, especially in generative AI, that it is going to be a very important thing. It is going to play a very significant role, especially in healthcare delivery, with hospitals rolling out chatbots, and there are chat boxes, AI powered chat boxes. What do you think in terms of going forward for Omega Hospital? Are you looking at something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said, AI is the new buzzword, right? Everyone wants to do it. Clinically, there are only not a lot of great advances that have happened in terms of AI because it puts down a great deal of responsibility, right? Even for us, when we do ethos, our doctors have to still verify it, that whether the positioning is right or not, right? Because it's
Hmm.
very critical, and clinically, it's always good to have human intervention. But apart from this, we're working on, as you said, chatbots, 100%. We're also trying to involve AI, looking at solutions that can help us analyze internal hospital operations and how to improve them, right? Where are the gaps? Where can I improve them? Getting these all insights generated through AI, so that not just to reduce manpower, but also at the same time get more out of the limited amount of hours that we have, right? Because everyone has to manage the kind of work-life balance at the end of the day. Because if you only work, you'll not be able to work for a long time. So how do you ensure that your human resources that are engaged in these activities are generating the highest amount of productivity through using AI? At the end of the day, putting up KPIs, KRAs, analyzing them with help of data analytical artificial intelligence tools that are there, something like even Chat GPT, right? It can help you analyze what kind of operational lapses are there, where can you improve, and all those things are already there. So trying to integrate those things with our existing systems and to ensure that we can gain more and more insights through it.
Correct. One last question before we wrap this up. Uh, After COVID-19 pandemic, telemedicine and remote patient monitoring, these technologies have also gathered pace. Are there any plans in the pipeline to incorporate these at Omega in near future?
Absolutely. We, in fact, we're working strongly through our website and an app that we're developing in house to ensure that we can provide that kind of telemedicine and access to all patients that are there in different specialities or different help that they need. In fact, even for our existing patients, we don't want them to travel back and forth, because we do understand that all these patients are suffering during those highly taxing chemotherapies or radiations or surgeries. So we want to ensure that the patient care is up. As always, if you talk to anyone in the organization, patient care has been always number one for us. So keeping that in mind, we just wanted to ensure that taking a step further, ensuring that our patients are even more comfortable when they're sitting at home for follow-ups, and they can just talk to our doctors directly through teleconferencing. In fact, even reach out clinics. So that is something that we're also planning, and that is there in the pipeline, that we want to ensure that we can have, smaller digital clinics available at various places. So anyone sitting in, say, 100 kilometers from here from Hyderabad, a small town, can access a digi-clinic, which is probably, say, 10-15 kilometers away from them. And through telemedicine, they can actually have a conversation with one of our specialists here. So they save on so much time, fuel, and effort, that automatically my patient's level of stress has gone down drastically, right? How do you, and that's what we're trying to achieve, to ensure that the patient journey becomes smoother, better, and their care is at most or the highest level that we can, right? Without really hampering our own business at the end of the day.
Right, right. Also, I know that I said that it's the last question, but one more question that I wanted to ask you is about the healthcare delivery, healthcare service, health IT service providers. Basically, you are from the hospital side, you are operational head looking at North India region at Omega Hospitals. You also work with a lot of vendors and health IT service providers. From your perspective, what are the areas that they can improve? What are the areas which need improvement from their side?
Yes. Well, there is a ton of improvement needed, not just from healthcare providers, but also from almost all hospitals that are there in India at this point of time. A lot of hospitals have been, hospitals need to start realizing overall, not just hospitals, any business for that matter, when you look at IT or tech for that matter, irrespective of which industry you talk about, there are always big companies, running behind legacy systems. We have to understand that these legacy systems, they added a lot of value at a certain point of time, but today the world has moved so fast and so forward that these legacy systems are dead. They're literally dead. The only reason they're surviving is because of the past relationship, customer client relationship that they've maintained. And I feel that is one of the shortcomings of 99% of the hospitals that are there in India at this point of time. They're either too far in behind in adapting to the technology, or they're not investing wisely in technology. They're just going whatever the market's following. Oh, what is that hospital doing? Oh, what is that hospital? Oh, it is working there. Oh, it is working there. Oh my God. No, you don't. No one is really sitting down and evaluating the software and they don't, because the thing is, they don't even understand what they actually want. So there is a disconnect on both sides, because newer softwares are coming up, newer companies are coming up who are developing these beautiful solutions which will solve 99% of your problems. But at the same time, because the evaluators are not evaluating those solutions, you automatically kind of get a backlash. A lot of startups in healthcare space have gone bankrupt or have closed down business just because they could not get enough footprint in big hospitals, because big hospitals are the ones that will give you the volume, right? Then they're the ones who can do have paying capacity for nice, deeply developed softwares. And if these hospitals choose to stay with the legacy systems, uh, I mean, they will become very slow. Like what we've seen in automobile industry, right? How the large companies don't have the value accumulated. Top three large companies of the world don't even amount to the same value of Tesla, right? Similarly,
Right.
newer companies are coming out of China every day with EV vehicles and other vehicles.
Hmm.
Why? Because you have to have that ecosystem. If you're not developing, there will be a certain point of time where someone else will come in and throw you off the shelves and replace you completely, and you'll be just be like, okay, what did I do wrong? It's like Nokia, right? How the CEO of Nokia, I remember, I think it's a famous quote from his speech where he's like, "Oh, I didn't do anything wrong." Yeah, because you didn't do anything wrong, but at the same time, you did not develop yourself with time. So I think that is developing with yourself with time is very essential, not just for the software providers, but also for the software consumers.
All right. This was such a candid, conversation, and thank you so much for it. It was very insightful and also very much learning for my side, for myself also from this entire conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on DHN Abhimanyu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arti. Thank you for having me. It was nice talking.